introduce myself. I am John Wojciechowski. I am still the president of the Utah Safety Council. Happy to be here. We are at our Sandy location. We just open house this place and ribbon cut this place. We've broke the place in and happy to be here. And our guest today, I first met Scott Martin about a year ago, I want to say, at our old facility. We had been talking to several construction companies who have dealt with death by suicide on the job, and the Utah Safety Council with our partners at the National Safety Council. We'd had a lot of false starts with first aid or mental health first aid. We're just kind of scrambling on, how to address this thing, and we'd gone to meetings with the advisory board of UWASH, and then I don't know what happened, but Scott heard our call because he came into our office, just said, hey, this is who I am. I do some public speaking and some consultations with companies about, mental health first aid and addressing the death by suicide in our Utah construction companies and beyond. And he left some information. We reached out to Scott and we booked him for our annual meeting. He was our keynote speaker at our annual meeting. And since then, we have this long-standing relationship, and I feel like we're really making some inroads to helping keep people safer when it comes to mental health first aid. And it's been a real pleasure to watch Scott and his organization grow and become really something that's becoming a thing in Utah. And so we asked them to come to the Utah Safety Council and do this podcast, and here we are. We have 3 guys, 2 girls on a couch, and we're gonna talk about mental health first aid. And before I start with Scott, let's maybe start with his lovely bride. Am I allowed to say that? Hillary over there, who I'm assuming is in charge of the whole operation, right? And so let's maybe turn over to Hillary to maybe introduce everybody. And I kind of gave how we ended up on the couch, but where do we go from here, Hillary?
Well, I guess I'll just introduce myself. I'm Hillary. I'm Scott's wife. I am a grateful recovered addict alcoholic since 2014. I've worked in the mental health industry for a treatment center in HR for the past 10 years. And this is just something that I've seen a need for. My husband's been in the construction and mining industry for several years, struggled himself with his mental health. I've struggled with my mental health, so it is very close to our family. And something that we just saw a need for and thought that we could help in any way. Our initial goal was if we can help at least one person, then we've done our job. So, yeah, that's me in a boat.
So I'm Cameron Ballantyne. I'm the Director of Operations for Recovery Friendly Workplace here in Utah. My background is in nonprofit management. I was with the American Red Cross for 25 plus years and then have worked in the nonprofit space throughout the country. But one of the main roles I had at the Red Cross was teaching disaster mental health, both for volunteers, staff members, and then those affected by natural or man-made disasters, and how that translated in the workplace and in those what we called gray sky moments where horrible things have happened. How do we respond? How do we react? How do we help when people really needed it? And ultimately for us, it's really breaking down that stigma here in Utah that there are people in recovery. It's not just not happening here. It absolutely is in the workplace, at home, and how to balance all those type of dynamics here in our state to make sure that people are safe in their workplace, home life, and anywhere else they may be in any given day.
Well, thanks, Cameron. Thanks, Hill. None of this would be possible without you guys. And as John said, my name's Scott Martin. Just about a year ago, I walked into your old office and we met and had some fun discussions. But really, 2024, March of 2024, I survived my suicide attempt. And during that recovery time for myself, as I was getting back on my feet, we lost a fellow coworker to suicide, and then another friend in the industry a week later. So there was 3 of us in a matter of a month's time that I knew personally that had all suffered from the same thing. And we seen a need, and we were trying to figure out how we can help, because we had no idea the significant impact that suicide and mental health was having in the construction and mining industry at the time. And so we started a little podcast at that time and said, hey, at least maybe we can reach some people by sharing some stories and information. Our podcast is Surviving Life's Pickles, and that just stands for Navigating Life's Challenges. And we like to do those together because we are stronger as a community. From that, this all became real. We had people asking us for more. How can we help? How can we help? And so we started doing research and found some training opportunities, one being mental health first aid. And that's kind of one of our foundational courses that we teach at the Recovery Friendly Workplace nonprofit here in Utah, with a heavy focus on construction and mining. The reason we do that is the course, mental health first aid course, is so foundational. It teaches you signs and symptoms. It teaches you how to have a conversation. It teaches you words to say, words not to say, body language to have, body language not to have, and just gives you more information about what's going on in your life and ways to see these signs and symptoms in other people's lives, so that then you can engage them and hopefully prevent, a tragic event from happening, or intervene before a substance abuse situation gets worse, or a family situation gets worse, or somebody loses their job due to a mental health disorder that they were kind of unaware of. And so that's why we partnered with the Utah Safety Council to be able to provide these training classes. And I mean, really, mental health safety is physical safety. You can't have one without the other. They go hand in hand. And so to have a guy on a job site, at a manufacturing plant, in an office building, and we all suffer from mental health, and we could all use some skills to make our mental health more positive and not so negative, and really reduce that stigma here in Utah when it comes to mental health, substance abuse, and all of these things that when we say it, everybody has a negative reaction. We're trying to change that more into a positive reaction by providing knowledge and resources and information to people in the place of work and on the job sites, so they're empowered with these tools that they can have a better life, and they can help others, going through the workspace. So that's kind of why we do a little bit of what we do, and why mental health first aid is such a powerful course that we've partnered with the Safety Council here in Utah to provide. I mean, it is just one of the courses we provide. We also provide suicide prevention training. We also provide a seminar called Mental Health Safety is Physical Safety, and along with coming in and just talking to employees and management about how to introduce the idea of mental health safety on the job site or in the office, or all these different things. And that's why we are so happy with this partnership with John here and everybody a part of the Utah Safety Councils, because of the reach and the members they already have. They're so ingrained of making sure their people are safe. We're just going to take it to that next level with being able to provide some of these new trainings.
We are very excited about this partnership and what we can do to advance the mission of keeping people safe and healthy. And we have some questions, though, Scott,
I love
Hillary, and Cameron. We have our esteemed programs manager over there, Yvette Stephanie, who, now that she has you in the hot seat, she's got some questions for you.
Get ready.
She started with the comfy couch.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I know you guys are super busy with your schedule, and you somehow always find time to sit and hang out with the Utah Safety Council. So we really appreciate your time here. I guess my first question, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering this right off the bat when you introduce yourselves, is who should take this course? I know you mentioned the construction and manufacturing industry, but let's talk about the types of positions, or who should take this course right away.
I guess I'll grab this one. I'll take the first question. Really, mental health first aid is for absolutely everybody, with a high suggestion for anybody who is in any type of management position. If you're over one person, you're over 100 people, you're over 500 people, because it does give you that basic information on how to care for yourself, but it does give you a lot more information on signs and symptoms and things to watch out for so you're able to help those around you. So the class is for everybody, spouses, employees, teen kids over the age of 16 can attend the class we teach here, which is the adult version. And all management, in my opinion, and all safety directors should be a part of this class.
Mm-hmm. And that can go even as far as HR, CEOs, everybody would benefit from taking this class.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I would chime in that it doesn't stop at the door of the workplace. Your family is going to be affected by what you're doing and vice versa. So it really does apply to everyone in all facets of our lives. So anyone connected to a loved one, someone who's working, and those who are at home can all benefit to make sure they're watching out for the signs, symptoms of the folks that are in their sphere.
What are the signs and symptoms? I mean, not to get into the 2-day class, but
You're going to give it all away for free? What the heck?
Let's just do the thing now. But maybe what are some of the warning signs and things maybe we should be dialed into better as employers and husbands and wives and just the people around us that might help mitigate a tragic event from happening.
Well, I guess there's really 3 categories that we focus on when we teach this class. 1 is behavior, 2 is talking or verbiage, and other is mood. Mm-hmm. And so all 3 of those categories, you can see signs and symptoms. For one, let's talk about behavior. The example that we like to give in most of our courses we teach is everybody has that one grumpy guy that's on site. And maybe he shows up the next day and he's in a really good mood. Okay? That's a big change in his mood. We need to see what's going on. Why has his behavior changed? What's going on? Ask some questions. It also goes the other way. If you have that one guy that shows up to the job site every day, he's bringing everybody coffee, he's telling jokes, he's running around, he's always happy, and he comes in and he's isolating, and he comes in and he's just sad, very quiet, then obviously something's going on. And so we teach how to spot some of these signs and symptoms for those mood and behavior changes. And the next thing is talking. Do they start talking about things that they usually don't talk about? They talk about how their life is so bad. They talk about how they can't get out of a certain situation. They're talking about being overstressed, financial issues, all of these things. If they're starting to bring issues like that to the workplace that they normally don't, then that's time to have a conversation with them. And we teach you how to listen for those verbiage and those cues, and then also how to approach them in these classes.
I would just add to that just that your life isn't going to start or end in the workplace, and being aware of those sort of situational scenarios of just being aware of those around you. You hopefully care about your coworkers and you observe those sorts of things. If the guy is moody on a good day and happy on the next day, just to be aware and say something. And Hillary's big role is to teach advocates and being able to determine, okay, who is the safe person in my workplace that I can approach and talk to and has been trained to watch out for those things. And it's not necessarily going to your HR director or the supervisor or head folks, but somebody who is a peer that is also qualified to maybe take on some of those burdens, or at least to talk and to get those out in the open so you're not bottling it up and putting safety at risk.
Mm-hmm. Like Cameron says, me being firsthand in HR, I know it's similar to like getting sent to the principal's office. Most people don't want to go talk to HR about their problems. They think they're going to be in trouble or that it's unprofessional. So we are trying to find more of a middleman where they are going to feel comfortable, somebody on their same level that they can go and reach out to and talk. The nice thing about mental health first aid is it teaches you how to start those conversations. It teaches you how to see the signs and symptoms, but it also just teaches you a lot of resources, how to reach out, and it's just a great course. Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit of a long-winded answer there for you, John, but I think hopefully we answered that good enough for you.
What should the role be of an employer in HR in dealing with these sort of situations? You have an employee that might be having a rough time personally, and I mean, what role should that employee have access to an HR person with the employer, or in a perfect world to help mitigate, bad situations from happening? What role should employers take to be responsible and to help their employees?
So oftentimes we hear the phrase, leave it at the gate, or leave, that's a personal problem. It's not our problem. We're trying to teach businesses and industries to deter from that, because you can't just leave your personal problems at home and show up to work. They're always intertwined. And we're not saying to give somebody a million chances, or if they're being, what's the word I'm looking for, unsafe, and they're looking for a reason to leave the job. We're not saying to accommodate all of those things. We're saying this is an employee that's worked with the industry for a long time. These are not natural behaviors that you're seeing. And we're wanting to deter from the no tolerance policies. It's not helping anybody.
Yeah, and with the no tolerance policy, I mean, what we want to do is, like she said, there's a lot of people who don't want to go talk to HR or your direct supervisor. And so the role of the business and the employers themselves is providing somebody who is a volunteer who wants to be this mental health advocate on a job site or at the workplace, where they are that safe place where they can go in and the company provides them with all the time available that they need to be trained in the right type of courses so they're able to help somebody when they're having these situations, and then offering that and making sure everybody knows that person's there. They're not there to judge. They're there to help and support them through what they're going for, and making sure that they're connected with the right resources. On the employee side, employees just need to be able to be comfortable and know, hey, guess what? We have trained people here at our business. We have a trained person on this job site. I'm struggling. I need to talk to somebody. I can go talk to them. And because I'm talking to them, now I have somebody that's in my corner that's going to help me through this process, whatever it may be, so that I can continue to work, but continue to work safely, depending on what my mental state is, and adjusting my job from day to day if I need that help.
I do have a question for the advocate side of things. So it must be a huge burden for them as well to hear and listen the struggles that the fellow employee is going through, and be the person that communicates that well enough to the employer. So is there special resources for the advocates, or is there, more to it than just being the middleman and communicating for them? Can you just go in depth on that there?
Yeah, so a big part that we teach is that self-care part. And so we teach the advocates, or anybody who comes, but specifically anybody who's volunteering to be the advocate, how to create a self-care program, not just a self-care program in case something happens, but a pre-incident self-care program that they work on a daily basis to make sure their mind is ready if something comes up. We have a during an incident self-care program on how to assess the situation and continue to make sure that they're doing okay. And then we have a post self-care program to teaching them how to take care of themselves after they've had to help somebody with a crisis, after they've been involved in something that's heavy, so they make sure that they're ready themselves, or they have the steps already put in place to take care of themselves after that situation. Because just like any other situation, if you're going in to perform CPR on somebody, if you're not in the right headspace, or you don't have the right the right training, you're not going to jump in and just start CPR on somebody. And that's what this program is teaching you as well, is how to think about, okay, am I ready? Can I personally take this on? Can I support this person? Okay, yes, and I'll go in and do it. And they have that plan already set in place. So that's what I tell people to think about as far as the advocate program is. We teach you how to be ready for these situations, and then how to know when you're not, or how to pass it on to somebody if you cannot handle the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary mentioned no tolerance policies in workplaces really not being effective or working that well. Can you explain maybe some success stories where an employer is maybe not latched on to the no tolerance, where maybe they had an employee come in and say, "Hey, I'm having an addiction problem and need some help," and what's the best way for employers to respond to those sort of notifications?
So working for a treatment center, I actually have seen multiple companies who have invested in their employees, and I've actually sent their employees to treatment. And with them investing into sending them into treatment and then bringing them back into the workplace, it actually can give you an employee for life. You've earned their loyalty and their family's loyalty. And so you've got an employee that knows that their employer actually cares about them, that they actually are invested in them and their family as well. And it just causes so much more of a better work environment for everybody, as well as not just the employee, but for the supervisors and everybody, knowing that everybody goes through struggles throughout their life. And it doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to ruin your entire life because you're going through a struggle during this certain time of your life. You know, we can recover, we can get through these humps. And the more people that are surrounding you, the more support that you can have, the better the outcome will be.
Well, and then a direct answer to your question, John, is we taught a suicide prevention course at a large construction company here in Utah. We did it on site. Within a couple weeks, the superintendent of that site called me and says, "Hey, man, we've got a situation here on site. I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. I know you might have some resources. Can you help out this employee?" And so he told me the situation, and they actually were having a family situation where the wife was having suicidal thoughts and she was struggling doing some other stuff, which was causing the husband to have to stay home and watch for her. Well, what we were able to do with that information and them opening up and asking for help is we were able to get not only her into a counselor and some treatment for what she was going through, but we also got the entire family going to a couple family sessions so that they're able to work through this together. And what that did is now that company said, "Okay, what do you need?" And he told him he needed to have the shift change, so he was able to attend these training and the therapy classes with his wife and with the rest of the family. So the company shifted their entire gears. They put him on a day shift from night shift. They helped support him through that, and they even offered him time off to go and get this help just because of the information we were able to provide to them, so they knew that this is something they can do and this is something to support. And now that guy is thriving, and it's been almost a month now, and I can honestly say that they're really happy with the outcome and things are going really well for him.
Tell me if this, I don't know where I heard this stat, or maybe I heard it from you, maybe I read it, but it's my understanding that the two demographics with the most death by suicides are like young teenage girls and older middle-aged men. Is that true? And if it is, why is that, you think?
So that is pretty true. I mean, it varies from state to state, honestly. But Utah, 80% of all the suicides in Utah are male. So that number right there, let that sit in. That's huge. In the construction industry, nationwide, and these are numbers from 2023, 14 construction workers die a day by suicide. In the mining industry, let's add a couple more numbers to that, and it jumps up to, I believe it's 17 now is what it's showing, and 17 miners per day are dying by suicide. So you put those two numbers together, and that's, I would say, 75-80% of the demographic of your members that you serve here is in construction and mining. You know, the rest would be manufacturing and things like that. But you put those two numbers together, and that is large, and that's concerning. And so what we want to do is help bring those numbers down, put a focus on suicide prevention at the workplace, put a focus on mental health training at the workplace, and just giving people the skills and the knowledge to live a better life and work safer.
I mean, based on your experience, I don't know about you, Scott, but sometimes me as a man, not very good at asking for help, right? Is it more than just that? Like what leads somebody down the road to, thoughts of suicide, for 80% of the men out there? Like, what is it? And how do we, is it just they need to be better at asking for help, or what's the potential solution here?
Oh, there's a very long answer to that question. We could spend the rest of the day for that one, John. But I'm actually going to pass this one to Cameron, because me and Cameron were part of another nonprofit working with men's mental health, and he's got some pretty good insights on that question. I'm going to let him kind of roll with that.
You're spot on, John. I think a lot of it is being raised of, if you fall and scrape your knee, rub some dirt on it and get over it. And as dudes, as men, we're not always good at opening up and being vulnerable and sharing those very personal situations with others for a myriad of reasons. Maybe no one cares. You have to be the man and shoulder that burden on your own. You are carrying the weight of your friends and family and your coworkers. You're the one that has to be the solid force within your groupings, and it's difficult to ask for help. And then as guys, as dudes, receiving that information, do we then know what to do with it? And how do we then help that fellow man to move forward, have the resources that he needs to be able to get over those hurdles? But I think it really comes down to being vulnerable enough to ask for help, to share that personal information, regardless of what it was or is, with your friends, loved ones, and coworkers, and to just take that step. And to, talking about advocates, knowing that that's a safe environment. You're not going to get made fun of. You're not going to be, redirected to another part of a site because, that guy's a little off today. But to actually have the resources to help one another and be vulnerable enough to ask for help and be accepting of the help that you could and should receive. Throughout Utah, there are support groups specifically for men that deal with this, where it's just an open forum of what's going on this week. It may be different than last week. It may be in addition to what's been going on. But I know for me personally, just getting it out of my head, out of my mind, my mom used to call it nattering, but just stewing on the crap that goes on in your life and talking to someone about it and being that person that is going to ask. And Scott and I have talked about this. There's a difference between, hey, dude, you okay? Scott, are you really okay? Because a lot of us will blow off the first question. Sure, fine, whatever. I just didn't sleep well or had a crappy weekend or whatever. Or being willing to get deeper with someone you care about, whether it's a coworker, friend, or a family member, and say, really, what is going on? And being an active listener to receive that information. Maybe not always give advice, but just listen so that stewing can get out of someone's mind. But then being able to be a resource if you say you're going to help them or follow up later, actually do it so that they know you're someone that will follow through and they can count upon to be of assistance when that time does come. But just being aware of your surroundings, being aware of your coworkers, being aware of your loved ones, and actually listening and taking action goes a long way for most of us.
Mm-hmm. Just to add a little bit to the long-winded answer, one of our main goals is to reduce the stigma. And we say vulnerability is contagious. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable with someone else, then you are opening that door for them to be vulnerable with you as well. And men have the hardest time being vulnerable, but if you can get two men together and start being vulnerable with each other, it opens up that door. It allows them to say, hey, I actually do need some help, or yes, I am struggling.
Yeah. And just kind of to round that out, I mean, 3 real huge signs and symptoms of why men don't want to reach out. One is that stigma, is we want to be the tough guy. We don't want people see us emotions. But in reality, the tougher the guy, the more emotions he's going to show. So what it means to be a man is to be emotional, to be caring, to be angry, to be just a human being. Being that raw human being is the first thing. And we're so scared of that most of the time being men, because we have this stigma or this person up here on a pedestal that we always want to be. And it's kind of reducing that down. The second one, especially in this industry we're talking about, is the financial burden. Financial guys don't want to reach out. They're worried about losing their job. They're worried about getting sent home early. All of the things that come on with this industry of seasonal work, getting laid off, not getting laid off. Can I work 12 hours today instead of 16? Can I work 8? All those things come in. And then the third is just being heard. Most men don't feel like they're being heard when they talk, and so they don't want to speak up. So allowing that safe space, allowing an advocate, allowing a person to be there for a guy to open up is really kind of the space that we're looking to create.
I had a surreal moment not too long ago. I fell asleep on my couch, which happens all the time, but that's not the surreal part.
Not this one, though.
Yeah. But you fall asleep watching TV, right? And YouTube, it gets on this loop. And I woke up to, I don't know if you guys have heard of this movie, The Boy, The Mole, The Fox, and the Horse. And there's somewhere in this show where the boy, I think, asked the horse, what's the bravest thing you ever said? And the horse said, help.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
Surreal. I'm telling you. It's like, What am I missing, Yvette?
Resources. Can you guys provide just some quick resources that our viewers and listeners can go to right now as they're watching this?
Yeah. So we'll just start off here. So one resource is we do have our website for our nonprofit. It's up. It's not all fancy and everything, but it's there with how to contact us. And that is rfwutah.org. You can go there to contact us. You can also go to our podcast website, which is survivinglifespickles.com. You can connect with us there. We're always available by text, email, anything. All the contact information is there. And then some national resources that are available here locally. First and foremost is 988. It is the mental health crisis hotline. It is available statewide, 365 days a year, 24/7 for anybody who's struggling. You can text or call anytime. Another one is NAMI, NAMI.org. NAMI helps here in Utah with tons of mental health organizations. They know about all the groups. They can direct you to different resources depending on the circumstances. And then the other one is just the state resources available as well. You have Wasatch Mental Health down in Utah County. You have the Utah State Health Department up here in Salt Lake County. And then you also have the Huntsman Center, which is the place that 988 is held here in Utah. They run 988 for Utah. Plus they have that brand new, fantastic facility downtown where anybody can go in and get the help that they need there at the Huntsman Center.
I'm going to add a little bit to the 988 question. The key part of that is cell phones may be a little more difficult to triangulate, but if you call from a landline, now not many of us have those still. I know exactly. You just said, what's that? They actually will be able to potentially, if needed, send a group of trained either volunteers or staff people to your location. If you're actually having a crisis, 988 will send a team to you to be able to help in those moments. And the response times are fairly quick, but cell phones may be a little longer to figure out where you are in that moment. But if you call from a landline, if they exist, they can find you quickly and be an absolute immediate resource for you.
The nice thing about 988 is you don't have to be in an emergency situation to call them. You can actually call them in a non-emergency state, and you can ask them, what is 988? What do you guys do? What do I need to know in case of an emergency? And they will answer all of those questions for you, which is actually amazing. So just knowing that is one of the main resources that we promote. 988 is one of the very, very best resources for anything mental health, addiction, all of that scope. So
they'll connect you to treatment centers. I mean, they'll give you all that information. And the biggest thing that we can just, as far as available resources, is information. That is the biggest thing about mental health, is learning about it, knowing the different avenues, knowing what's available out there. So that's why I recommend a podcast like ours. There's another podcast here locally called Todd's Todd Inspires. It's a belief cast. So if you look up belief cast, and it's Todd Inspires, he's another local guy that provides a ton of resources and people here in the community that can help. And then the other one is, and this comes from one of your amazing Utah Safety Council members, Sarah Galvez. Okay. If you know Sarah, you know how incredible she is. But she gave us this, and this is a simple answer, is Google it.
Yep.
If you have a question and you don't know where to start, follow Sarah's advice and hit the Google button and type in mental health training, mental health symptoms, mental health crisis,
Mental health resources.
Google can be the starting point if you just don't know where to start. So that is information that we always put out there, because as simple as it sounds, sometimes we forget that we can just put that in, and that'll help give us a start to a search.
What are your thoughts on ChatGPT and mental health and counseling? I have read some not great things about people engaging with AI models and that ending badly. And anyway, talk to us about that. And I mean, I only bring this up because you said Google it.
Yeah, well, I opened the door, didn't I, John? I mean, for me, I personally don't have an opinion because I haven't invested enough time to research it. But when I've put in information just on my own, it does give me feedback. With AI and with Google or any type of those searches, always take it with a grain of salt, okay? Don't trust it saying that is 100% the only option. It just starts the conversation. I wouldn't rely on any type of AI at this point. It's still new enough that I don't think we can rely on them to give us practical information on if we're struggling, if we are in that suicide moment. Do we want to ask a computer that only has data and facts? It's probably going to give us something that we don't want to hear, or that we probably shouldn't hear at that moment. So tread lightly is my advice with AI and mental health right now, because we just don't know where it's going.
Mm-hmm. I would add also, when somebody is struggling with their mental health, usually the one thing that is missing is connection. And you're not going to get connection through a computer. We need physical connection. We need the energy that we're passing between the two people. You need somebody that's going to actually show up to your house or actually going to call you. And unfortunately, a computer system, AI, is not going to provide that.
And I would just add, you want a trained human in those moments. Mm-hmm. There may be resources that a computer can connect you to, but as Hillary says, you want to connect to a fellow human being in those moments who are trained, who can help and provide those resources instead of just a screen you're going to scroll through, and may not give you the right information and lead you down the right track in a moment of urgency.
Yeah, we had a very good start with safety, a webinar this month where Dr. Ken talked about AI models and safety there, and how to address it. And he did caution. He goes, be careful, putting all your information into these AI large learning platforms, right? Because they own it. Like, you put in your tax information or personal information or your mental health information, like that lives there now. So he did caution about, maybe disclosing too much to a computer, and, people, it's better to have connections with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, that's a free Johnism that's free of charge.
We love those.
John, I got a question for you to relate this on. Yes. Stress and anxiety, maybe internal factors, and, what's the best resource for people?
Yeah, I mean, really with that, we're working on a training seminar that dives right down that avenue of talking about nutrition and the importance of good nutrition on your mental health and your physical health. I mean, let's just talk about water, okay? As basic as water is, if you don't get enough water, the chemical balance in your brain is not what it's supposed to be. So if you're dehydrated, it's focusing and pushing some of those chemicals and brain power to a certain direction in your brain where it might be taking it from another. And so just having enough water in your body so that it can function properly and keep all of those basic operating levels good, that's the first start. That's the number one thing. So I always tell people, if you're not drinking a gallon of water a day, start looking about how you can do it. That alone can help change some of your mental health. But here down in the future, hopefully we'll be offering some courses here by by the end of the year about nutrition and mental health and how they go hand in hand, and how you can plan for good nutrition through mental health, and how you can plan for good nutrition being a construction worker on a job site. Because I'll be the first one to tell you, I'll admit it, I hit the gas station a couple times a week for food. And so we talk about how we can make it healthy hitting the gas station for food. So there'll be a lot of that, but it definitely plays a huge role on what it does inside to your body when your mental health isn't good.
And I would just add, what elements are you incorporating in your life that are numbing those symptoms in your body, in your mind, to be able to combat what may be going on in your personal or professional life? So being aware for yourself and for your loved ones and coworkers, what element substances are you putting into your body to counteract the good you're trying to do for your health and your body and your mental health, to numb the pain, the anguish that you may have, and just to be aware of that for yourself and those around you.
Yes. So what you're saying is there's not a magic pill or a magic thing, and it's hard, right? Because we're hit with information every day about, these nootropics and take this and take that. And what I'm hearing Scott say is, well, just start by getting enough water every day. Maybe that'll do it. So
We need to start with the basics, right? We need exercise, sleep, and water. We have those things, then we start working on nutrition. But we have to start with the basics. And water is number one for me. That's what I tell everybody. Number two is sleep. Your mental health and your physical health is so dependent on the quality of sleep and the length of sleep you get. So that is one of those ones that you need to look at and evaluate. And we do teach some methods and different things that you can do to help increase your sleep, how to, dive into that when we teach some of these courses. So really, like I said, in this mental health first aid course, it is so foundational. It hits so many different levels that it really can give you enough information to be dangerous to make yourself healthy.
Mm-hmm. Another thing with mental health, a lot of people, there's the stigma of going to a therapist or going to therapy. And a step that you can actually take is go to your family doctor, get a blood panel, see if your chemicals in your body are actually the way that they're supposed to be. Just going to your medical doctor can actually be a good start into finding out if there is something wrong internally that could be causing your mental health or causing what's going on with everything else as well. So,
am I hogging all your questions, Yvette?
No,
Yvette's happy over there. She's got it.
I'm over here like,
Well, you guys have been busy. You're hitting a lot of training courses at different organizations, and we have a couple. We've had a class here and an open house where we've talked about these things. But maybe talk about how you're trying to scale this operation and what employers can do if they want to do one thing. What can they do to support you and support this whole effort? Like, what are next steps? What's the call to action with all of it?
Well, next steps, like you just said, John, we had one mental health first aid class, plus we've had a couple of seminars we've done here. So starting in June 4th and 5th, we're hosting another mental health first aid here at the Utah Safety Council. It is an in-person. Currently, we are only doing these in person because we see the value in that human connection, that value of being able to have these conversations in real life, not virtual, on the impact that it has as you're learning. And so as of right now, we're going to do these in person. So June 4th and 5th, we have our next class coming up. That is a huge way that you can get involved, is by sending somebody in your HR department, sending a superintendent, sending your safety director, somebody down to come see what this class is all about. And if it's something you want to implement into your training at your place of business, where the next step would be, we can come out to you and we can do all sorts of different trainings at your place of business, or we can work with you guys here at the council to be able to provide those trainings here as well. They can send employees to. And the biggest part for us is we just want to help. We want to provide this knowledge. And I guess next step for us is we are a nonprofit, just like the Safety Council here. And so the next thing for us is to really get some funding, because currently we are self-funded. And so we're just doing this to be out there and help people. But we can really start reaching people if we can get some more help on that backside and really provide that, where we can get more training done on our side and hire more people to be able to provide these trainings, so we can be out and really saturate the market with it.
Mm-hmm. End goal also with the financial, help, we would like to be able to offer scholarships for their employees to go to treatment, or free therapy sessions, free classes, things like that as well. So that is our ultimate end goal.
I don't know if you're aware of the Utah Labor Commission Workplace Safety Grant.
We heard something about that.
Yeah,
So,
we
we're definitely going to look into that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I want to make sure we get all the information out that you guys all want to get out. And so maybe we'll just go along and, maybe say the things that need to be said and information out there. And Yvette can wrap it up with the classes coming up here at the Utah Safety Council on the 4th and 5th. But Scott, why don't you start us off?
I guess I'll just start. So again, you can reach out to us through the rfwutah.org website, or you can reach myself or Hillary through our Surviving Life's Pickles website or any of our social media. That is the easiest way. My phone number, my personal number, is on our Surviving Life's Pickles page, and my email is there. It's just scott@survivinglifespickles.com. Pretty easy to remember. If you want to get a hold of me anytime, either of those ways is the best way to get a hold of me. I'll pass it to Cameron.
My big takeaway would be, as we've talked about, 988, and to use them before you need them. As recommended, make the call today, right after you've heard this, to determine what resources could be available to you, your family members, your coworkers. So when you need it, it's going to be top of mind. We all have learned 911 over our lifetimes. 988 is a little bit different and newer, but just as important. So test it out. As Hillary said, give them a call today and talk through what resources they have available in your community, near your workplace, so that you're able to know before you need them, and to have already that rapport and the skills and knowledge needed in that crisis situation when you are going to be calling 988. But know them before you need them.
How can somebody get a hold of you, Cameron?
My email address and everything is on the RFW website also, and would be happy to continue talking about how the nonprofit is being more and more developed here throughout Utah, and to be able to help people to, again, kind of know us before you need us, to schedule classes, schedule trainings. As Hillary said, be able to be an advocate and a avenue to treatment for yourself or your family member or a coworker. We ultimately want to make sure that people are safe here in Utah, whether it's dealing with substance abuse and or someone in recovery, and someone who may be nearing toward a mental health crisis or in that crisis point themselves, and the aftercare that it takes for that advocate and for that person involved to make sure that they're coming back to the workplace safer and more ready and more aware, and being able to help them to be in a better place physically and mentally.
So if you want to reach out to me, my email is Hillary M, HILLARY @survivinglifespickles.com. And just go to our website, check out one of our episodes. We love what we do, and we are self-funded. So if any company out there is willing to donate, we do have a QR code on our RFW website. We take donations. We also love suggestions, or anybody that needs any little extra help. The last thing is, please know that no matter what, you're not alone. There is help out there, and people love you. People care about you. And no matter how far down you've gone, that you can always come back. You can always recover. Don't ever play into the bully in your mind that says you are not worth it. Please know that you're a big deal.
You got to love yourself first, Yvette.
That's a lot to wrap up with. Oh, man, you guys set the bar up there. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your references, your resources, and your time. Again, we really appreciate you guys coming here today to speak on mental health first aid and recovery-friendly workplace. We do have a scheduled mental health first aid course here coming up June 4th and 5th. It is a 2-day course like Scott mentioned. We do have some seats available if you guys need to register for that. Go visit our website, utahsafetycouncil.org, or give me a call. My name is Yvette Stephanie, and we just want you guys to stay safe.